today. Hey folks, it's Finn. Hello lovely people. Well folks, I am in London and it is the 19th of September. It's actually the Queen's funeral today and I'm in London, and I'm not in London for the Queen's funeral at all. I'm in London because I'm doing some filming with Channel 4 and it's really weird because I'm not allowed to tell anyone anything, but I like to document stuff. So I'm going to document this anyway because at some point I'll be able to tell you all about it, and then it'd be really nice to share my thoughts on this as it goes on, because this is a really exciting adventure for a number of different reasons. So let me tell you what's happened. Okay, so last week, week before, bit of a loss for time because of what's been happening in the UK this week, I was contacted by somebody from Channel 4 to tell me about a documentary they're making called Naked Education. It's being made with Anna Richardson, and it's all about celebrating all different kinds of bodies in an aim to just champion all body types. We live in this age where there is airbrushed snaps of people everywhere, and people are so under pressure to kind of have this perfect body, as if the perfect body exists. And when I was sent over this synopsis of the show, everything about it just really hit home to me. This kind of idea that we've got to live up to this ideal of these perfect stereotype bodies, and if we don't fit into these stereotype bodies, it's really hard to feel good about ourselves. And there was just so much in this blurb that I just really related to. And they were basically reaching out to me because it wasn't a trans specific show, but they wanted to include trans people within the documentary. It was a 6-part series, and they'd really like to share stories from trans people about their own body journey, because the whole idea, there's different threads within this series, and one of them is talking to people who have had body journeys and talking to people along different times in their body journey. So with me, they very much saw me as coming along to talk about the journey I've had through phalloplasty, myself as a transgender man, and how that's been now at the end of my phalloplasty journey, and could I share some of that? And you know, initially whenever I see anything that's for TV, I just think, no, I'm not doing that. You know, it's often sensationalized, misrepresented, misquoted. It just never goes well, does it? So I've always kind of shied away, but with this one, it just really seemed to be something different. And on speaking to some of the people involved, speaking to Julian particularly, very clear we're from the same community, very clear we're on the very same wavelength with the way we look at things. From no prompting from me, the way that Julia was speaking was very much the sort of thing I'd want to hear in terms of understanding trans people, trans language, the sort of challenges that we as trans people face. And you know, it was just, I really want to do this. I actually really do want to take part. The sticking point is that part of this show is in the title, Naked Education. So like Naked Attraction, the idea is part of this celebrating bodies, and the groundbreaking nature of this program is that in celebrating body differences, the people taking part in this show get naked. And this is what was the problem for me, because the last thing I want to do is go on TV as a trans man and have my body sensationalized just to be stared at because it's different, because it's trans. But that isn't what this is about. Now, I share really openly about my trans body, my trans experience, and especially about phalloplasty, my whole book goes really deeply, not just into the surgery, but into sex, sexuality. I mean, if you've read my book, you know that it's a real deep dive into my body and the way I experience it with myself, the way I experienced it with others before I met Chris, and briefly about me and Chris and our initial intimacy together. So it isn't new, but what is new is getting my kit off on TV, right? Who does that? But, you know, me and Chris, we chatted together about what we both thought about that. It's just a body. Why are we as human beings we're so, especially over in this culture in the UK, we're so hung up about our bodies and so kind of like prudish, and I don't think this helps in terms of people celebrating their bodies. I don't think it helps because we just have this idea about what a perfect body is, but actually how often do we actually see what everyday bodies look like? Because we don't, do we? And okay, it's a little bit different with the trans body because you have this thing then of people like really kind of objectifying and sensationalizing a trans body. But with me, my thought process is this: so often people are fixated on trans bodies and thinking, oh, I know what it looks like and all of this, but if I'm actually there telling the story about what it is like to live your life in a body that just causes you so much pain and distress, and then suddenly you go through this surgery where your body then gives you so much joy and freedom, and it just changes everything. When people then understand that, yes, they'll be seeing my naked body, but it will mean something different. It won't just be an objective, sensationalized body. It will be connected to a person telling a story about how much that body gives them joy. And so my hope with doing this is it will help to really show why this surgery is such a life-saving necessity for trans people. Of course, not every trans person chooses to have surgery for a whole host of very complex reasons. But those of us that do, this is life-saving surgery. This isn't cosmetic. This isn't just, you know, a whim. This is painstaking, years and years long surgery. But we do it because that pain is worth it for the end results. And if more and more people realise this, then we might get the funding we need, we might get better healthcare, we might get better trained surgeons. We've only got one team here in the UK and a huge waiting list. If this is seen as the life-saving and the life-enhancing surgery as it is, then it could help to improve things for trans people. And seeing this could help to give trans people hope. And seeing this, a 48-year-old trans man who's wobbly around the edges, grey, thinning, that also might help as well, because, you know, I've put on a lot of weight over the last few years because, you know, I've got some chronic illness issues that have gone on. And in my early transition, I thought to be really masculine and accepted as a man, I had to be kind of fit, buff, and all of these things. And actually, I'm really comfortable in my body, as soft around the edges as it is. It's my body and I love it. And I think that's a really lovely message to young trans people, to anybody really, that it doesn't matter what size you are. You know, men don't have to be one shape. Women don't have to be one shape. People don't have to be one shape, you know. So there's lots of reasons why I've decided to say yes to this. This is a very long reason as to why. This might have to just be an introduction if I'm going to do a thing about this. But this is, yeah, this is just one of the, these are just some of the many reasons why I want to take part. You just don't see that many older trans people around either, really. You really don't. I mean, the young, this is the, what we hear in the media is this narrative that it's all young people, this kind of trend, you know, they've picked it up on social media and they're off and running. It's not true. There's loads of us older trans people around. You just don't tend to see us because no one's pointing us out, or we've just got on with our lives. quietly, because we've had to transition in the shadows because it wasn't acceptable for us growing up. But we exist, and I think that's also a plus for me. So for me, going naked shows that trans bodies aren't just bodies, they're inhabited by real people that have these really like deep stories of these huge journeys we travel just to be happy and comfortable in our own skin, which I think everyone can relate to, trans or not, and that we come in all ages, shapes and sizes, and then it's just a body. You know, our body journeys are just different. It is my body, it's not a different body. You often hear these kind of stories about born in the wrong body. I wasn't born in the wrong body, this is my body. It just needed some modifications. Sometimes we're born in bodies with bits wrong, with bits here that shouldn't be there and bits there that shouldn't be here. And if we've got the medical means to change that, and we want to change that, we should be able to, because it's our body autonomy, you know. When we talk about nature these days, we have overtaken nature with so many things we do. And it's time we move past that kind of language when saying we shouldn't mess with nature. If we didn't mess with nature, we wouldn't be living in houses, you know. We have the means to make ourselves happier and more comfortable. And why shouldn't we? So they are my reasons, and I'm looking forward to now sharing as this goes on. So it's now, I've forgotten what day it is already. It's Monday, isn't it? So tomorrow morning they're picking me up at 9:30, and it's the interview tomorrow, and then Naked Day is Wednesday. So yeah, I shall share as we go on. Morning folks. So today I am on my way back to Plymouth. Well, actually not right at this moment, because right at this moment I'm still in London in my hotel, but my taxi is on its way here to collect me, to take me back to Plymouth. It's Thursday the 22nd, so I've done my 2 days filming. I was intending to reflect at the end of each day, but I was just so exhausted, so I'm going to do that reflection now. So this has been such an intense couple of days, and there's just been so much learning and growth for a couple of really big different reasons really. You can watch my recent video on my learnings in terms of getting out and about with ME, but in terms of the filming itself, just wow. Really. Okay, let me talk you through it. So on the Tuesday, the first day of filming, it was all dressed. The first day it was all dressed, but it was made to look undressed because I had to sit with a towel just round my underarms here. So I had my trousers on, but around my underarms, so you just see from my shoulders up. So it's cut with the footage that I filmed on Wednesday to be put together. So that was quite okay. That was fine, because that's stuff I'm used to, not sitting with a towel around my shoulders, but I'm used to just sharing my story, and that's what Tuesday was all about, just sharing my story. But what's different, of course, is that when I do public talks, I know that it just goes there and nowhere else. It doesn't get republished. It doesn't go on to Channel 4 Watch Later. It doesn't go onto Netflix. It doesn't go worldwide. You know, so when I got home on the Tuesday night, I was starting to worry about the way I'd said things. Had I said them properly? I wish I'd said that. I wish I'd put it this way. And I kept waking up in the night thinking exactly the same kind of things, and kind of think, oh no, I wish I said this, wish I said that. And just worrying about it, you know, because I just think when this comes out, are people going to judge me and say, oh, you shouldn't have put it like that? And also, the people I've talked about, I'm really careful to not talk directly about people unless I've got their explicit permission, or unless they're not here anymore. And I try and do it in a way that's very fair and unbiased, because we've all got our own versions of stories, haven't we? And two people can have the same experience, but have very different versions of it, because all of our experiences, even in the same situation, are incredibly unique. So I was really careful, and especially when talking about my mum and my dad and growing up, because nothing that they did was malicious. It was just because of the time, nobody knew that what was going on with me was that I had gender dysphoria. So it looks as if I was kind of ignored and left to just fall into this pit of despair and alcoholism. But it wasn't their fault, you know, it was just the time. And I was missed by a lot of services, but again, it was just the time that these things weren't picked up. And I really hope that that comes across in the edit. I don't know if it will, but I've done my best, you know. So it's those kind of things that I worried about on day one. But other than that, it was okay. So day 2 was Naked Day, and that was yesterday. I have to say, it was an amazing day. It was the day I was the most nervous about because of the nakedness, of course. Because I love my body now, and not because it is this perfect Adonis body, but because I'm comfortable in it. And that's so different to what I thought it would be. I mean, it's not like I was thinking I'm going to transition and have this perfect male body, but I just kind of thought I'd be kind of slender, kind of fit, but I'm 48 and I've gained weight that I can't lose because of my condition and things like that, you know, so, but I'm so comfortable in my body exactly how it is. It's lovely, but then getting it out in front of other people is a different kettle of fish. So it started with just doing some in my robe shot. So I had to just get naked, put the robe on, and then go into this kind of studio area that was set up, quite kind of dimly lit. It's going to look amazing on the actual episode itself. And just have the cameraman just do some zoom in shots. They call them hero shots. They can just get shots of me around my body and just different head shots, body shots, long shots, all sorts of things. And so that was fine, because I'm kind of used to being in front of a camera. I'm used to direction. I've done various different things like this. So that was fine because I was dressed. And then kind of midway through it, he was like, okay, sorry Finn, but can we now lose the robe? And because we'd just stood in there for like 15, 20 minutes by this point doing this, I just kind of went, yeah, and just took it off and just handed it to him. And then, but then he went out, because there was two. There was the cameraman and then the director. And then he went out to get something. So there's just me and the cameraman in there. And he's just like, all right, so how you doing? Where you from? It was just like that scene from Love, actually, where they're kind of like these porn doubles and they're chatting together. It was just a bit like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm from Plymouth. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Cornwall. Weird. And then we did exactly the same thing as I'd done with my robe. So I'm stood there naked, and the cameraman is being directed by the director to kind of pan around my body, go forward and back. And there was this surreal moment where the director said, okay, so now can you just pan in on Finn's penis? Just had to try and keep a straight face. Never in a million years did I think I'd hear those words. So that was really bizarre, surreal, but also just quite normal. Really, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. The weirdest bit was when they were behind me, because this is a episode that's going to be pre-watershed. They can't show much. I mean, this is another reason I'm doing this episode, this program anyway, because it's not going to be gratuitous nakedness. It's only going to be shown when it has to be done. You know, it's not just for the sake of nakedness. So they can use bum shots. So there was lots of like going behind me to get bum shots. And actually that was more weird when I didn't know what they were doing behind me. That was quite weird. But yeah, it was actually really, really, really fine. And it just felt quite empowering just to be there, just naked. Lots of rest in between this, sitting around doing very little. Lots of kind of shots of me then dressed again, walking in, and just like filling shots and things like that. And then the main event is the whole point of this show and of our episode is I've got to remember that me doing this now, you're going to see this video, hopefully, if I'm allowed to share this, after you've seen the naked education episode. So I'll be able to tell you. So yes, it's called the Naked Exchange, this bit. So me and Lucian get to meet. So at this point, I'm in the side and Lucian is sat on a seat, and I then walk in, and I had to do this without my sticks for this point because I had nowhere to put my sticks. So I'm kind of walking in really slowly, which was so dead awkward. And I could see Lucian smiling at me. So I'm walking in my robe. He sat there on his robe. And then we just sat, and we'd been kind of instructed on roughly what to talk about in 3 stages. So first bit to talk about our growing up and what it was like growing up, and then to talk about our transition, and then to talk about our surgeries. And they just pretty much left us to it. They gave us a brief and then just let us just chat naturally, which I really appreciate. I love that there was this little direction in that. So it was just lovely to meet him, and we just sat chatting, and the fact that he was like so much younger, but had actually started to come out in the same year really as I had. So that was really interesting to think, you know, just those different ages, but yet, you know, coming out at the same time, and just sharing those different experiences and what it was like for him at school compared to what it was like for me, the visibility of trans people for him at his age compared to what it was like for me. He'd only just had his top surgery, and just sharing the joy of that. And the whole point of him being there and wanting to do Naked Exchange was because he's thinking about phalloplasty and wanted to ask some questions. So the whole idea really is we get together, we talk, and then I offered to say, you know, if you would like to see my body and see my finished phalloplasty, I'm happy to show you. So that's the point when we then get up from our stools and derobe and show each other our bodies. And that was just, I mean, it's another trans guy, and as trans guys will know, we do this all the time to each other, just not in public. You know, if we meet each other and we're like, oh, I'm really thinking about phalloplasty, can I see it? We flash each other all the time. Look at my chest, you know, we do it, we're used to this. We're just not used to it in having an audience, in being such a weird situation. So actually that actually felt okay. It was just weird having someone watch us. But it was just really nice to share that, and just to be so privileged to see his chest result so new, and so brave of him to share so early on as well. And that was just lovely to see him kind of ask questions. And because, you know, for me, to think how much I struggled to get advice and to get first-hand experiences from other trans people who had surgery, and here is he actually managing to find a trans man and be stood in front of a naked trans man who's had phalloplasty and ask questions. What a wonderful gift to be able to give someone. It's just incredible. And it just kind of wiped out all of the worry about the day before, because if I've said something that's a little bit amiss or I haven't put it properly, do you know what? I've done my best. And the best thing about this program is, imagine all the trans people out there that this is going to help. Hopefully this is going to open the eyes of lots of different people. If I had seen this in my early 20s and seen that trans people exist, had seen that these surgeries exist, that people could grow up and grow into middle-aged manhood, and be 48, be saggy around the edges and be happy, oh my goodness, what a difference it would have made. So what if I haven't got something particularly perfectly right, or said something a little bit wrong? Do you know what? What an incredible thing to do for both of us. So brave on his behalf as well, you know, to be that much earlier in his transition and do this. So it was incredible. It really, really, really was. And of course I'm nervous about it going out. And Chris pointed out yesterday, you know, the neighbours are going to know us now. I hadn't connected that all of a sudden my neighbours are going to be watching this Channel 4 programme and go, that's our neighbour. Oh dear. Oh well. I'm more worried about my neighbours than anybody else. There you go. So I don't know when this is coming out. They said sometime early next year. That's all we know so far. But I'm excited about this coming out. I really think, I met one of the other participants as well, and his episode is going to be great. I think this whole series is going to be absolutely eye-opening, inspiring, groundbreaking. It's going to be incredible. And I think this episode of Naked Exchange with us two trans chaps talking about our stories and showing our bodies, it's going to make so much difference. I really, really do. So yes. How long have I gone on for? 13 minutes. Okay, let me tell you about the outtakes. Now, I might have to cut this bit out, or I might have to bleep out the names of the people I'm going to mention, because I'm going to have to run this past production before I put this on my YouTube, obviously. But of course, Anna Richardson is involved with this program, which is why I said yes to it in the first place. Having worked with her before, I trust her implicitly. I know that she handles this kind of thing really sensitively. When she did my Open Uni adverts, my being trans was handled in such a beautifully sensitive way and wasn't made the focal point. It was wonderful. And we talked back then about my gender transition and about my lower surgery. And she said to me back then, I want you on Naked Attraction. And I was like, no, no, no. And here we are on Naked Education. So anyway, she was backstage listening to mine and Lucian's conversation so that she could come in at the end of the show and then ask a few more questions and ask how it went. And you can't show an erection on national telly, of course, but then when we finished filming, Anna was asking some questions and saying, look, this is amazing how this works. And I said, look, do you want to see how it works? And Lucian, do you want to see how it works? You know I couldn't show this on TV, but are you interested? I'm happy to pump it up and show you. And Anna's like, yeah. And so is Lucian. And now you know Anna, if you watch Naked Attraction, you know that she's proper in there with people's genitals and bits, having a proper look. She's really curious. So as soon as I start pumping it up, Anna's on the floor, like proper having a look. So I pump the penis up and she's like, wow. And in the show, as you see, she's like, so where's your clitoris? So once I've got it pumped up, she's like, so okay, so where's the clitoris in there? So I'm lifting my ball up and going, okay, so they put my ball too high. It needs to be lowered, but I couldn't be bothered. But my clitoris is in here, and I'm lifting it up and showing her, and she's underneath having a look. The most surreal moment in the world. And you've got the other female producers all kind of round having a look as well and being absolutely fascinated. It was really funny how all the male people were kind of out the outskirts just listening in, but all the female people that were involved were straight round having a look and going, wow, this is amazing. It was just the most surreal moment to have like Anna right there on the floor looking up at my genitals, and then everyone else is having a look. Oh my goodness, never in a million years did I think I'd be doing that. But yeah, it was just incredibly liberating, and to have my body looked at as just a thing of beauty and of like something that's been created for me, from me, and this is all my flesh and blood. People on my YouTube that have made nasty comments along the time of it's not a real penis and all of that, it's made from me. When we are born with things, it's made of our flesh and blood, right? So anything that's made of our flesh and blood is ours. My penis is made of my flesh and blood, so it's mine. And to see people see how amazing this is, that these surgeons have put this together for me so that it works, it was just an amazing moment. I was so proud, and I was kind of waggling around when I had an erection, and everyone was saying, you're so proud of it, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, I am. And to stand in front of other people and share that pride with people is not something you get to do every day. You know, I mean, I share that pride with Chris, of course I do, and I'm always proud of my penis and waggling it around. But to share it with other people is just, you know, amazing. And to give that gift to Lucian, to be able to show that and share that, was just wonderful. I feel quite emotional again today. I did yesterday as well. So yeah, this is all the behind the scenes stuff, and I hope I can share all of this. I will try my best to, but you might get this uploaded with bits bleeped out here and there. We will see. I will do my best. So yeah, amazing. I can't wait till it comes out, and I might have to make more videos when it comes out in response to stuff that happens. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to sign off and get ready to go because my taxi should be here any moment. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care of yourselves.